All right, this is Dave Warner with Small Town Life, and today I've got a great guest on here. I've got Bob Casullo on here, and we've talked before, right, Bob? Couple of shows way back, but this is a kind of a different thing here. We're talking about the we're talking about the Greater
Syracuse Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I know, a Sports Hall of Fame, which was started in 1987, and they say they're inducting you into this thing on October 30th. I don't know what those balloons are there.
Yep, next Monday night.
Next Monday night.
There'll be, oh, look at the balloons.
I don't know what that is. Are you doing that? I'm looking here going, what the heck is that? Anyway, I'm not doing this. I don't know what that is.
I'm not either. I don't know. I'm just sitting here.
That's just not right. That looks kind of sick. So anyway, I was looking at what they put on there, and they've got a 38-year coach. He said, and the thing is, I looked at all the other inductees, right? And you've got lacrosse and you've got basketball, and under your name they have coach. Why is that?
Well, I think they wanted to, if you notice, they never duplicated a sport like football, lacrosse, baseball.
Right.
They never duplicated it. So I think in my case, they used the term coach because that's what they wanted to do. Because Latavius Murray is also going in, and he's football.
Okay.
So my guess is they didn't want to duplicate it.
Okay. All right. Well, I was wondering about that. I looked at it. But so they've got on there a 38-year coach, spent 12 seasons in the high school ranks, Henninger and Baldwinsville, 17 at the college level, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, and Michigan State, and 9 in the National Football League, Raiders, Jets, Seahawks, and Buccaneers. Coached in 1 Section 3 title game and 10 college bowl games, in 15 NFL playoff contests, and in 2 Super Bowls. I guess there's a reason they're asking you to kind of come into that, isn't there?
Well, I would kind of, without, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but that's 38 years of good coaching success.
Right. So kind of walk me through that career. I know we've done that kind of on another show, but just for this one, kind of walk me through how did you get into coaching and why this path?
Well, when, growing up in Little Falls and playing football and basketball, I had a good coach my senior year of football, Dave McCauley. And Coach McCauley always encouraged me to go into the coaching profession. He felt that I was a natural for it. And then I went to college at Brockport, played 4 years there, freshman year, first year, and then 3 years on the varsity. And Coach Jerry DiAgostino, he was a tough old Marine and Army guy, and he was hard-nosed. And, entering our senior year, he always took the players aside individually and, what was your aspirations? And, my thing was, look, I'd like to coach. And he encouraged me, like Coach McCauley, to get into it. Then I got out, and I was fortunate to get a job in the Syracuse City School District. Started at Eastwood Junior High School for 1 year and coached the Henninger JVs. And then the next year, I transferred up to Henninger High School. And for the next 9 years, I worked with Tom Acey, who was the head coach, and Joe Casamano, Dale Drypulcher, and Tony Grosso. We had a 5-man staff there for 10 years. Then I left and went to Baldwinsville, got the head football coaching job, got hired by Leo Johnson and Joe Coleman. We had a nice 2-year run. We made the playoffs both years. And then I left and went to Syracuse University. And my assistant, Carl Sanfilippo, one of my assistants, he took over the program, and believe it or not, he's still there.
Wow.
So that's a 40-year run for him.
Jeez.
And I went to Syracuse. I started as a volunteer coach, and which for 1 year. Then I got appointed to football. In today's terms, it would have been the operations director. I was the football ops guy in charge of everything not related to football, the game itself. For example, academics, transportation, meals, recruiting, anything that the athletes needed to have outside of the game of football, I was in charge of. I did that for 3 years. Then I became running back coach, tight ends coach, special teams coach, moved to Georgia Tech. George O'Leary, a good friend of mine, got the job, and he called me and hired me there. worked there for 4 years, coaching running backs and special teams. Then I went to Michigan State, worked for a guy named, I think you might have heard of him, Nick Saban.
Never heard of that guy.
Yeah, and worked with him for 1 year at Michigan State, and then I got a call from John Gruden in Oakland, went there for 4 years. Then I went to the New York Jets for 1 year, up to Seattle with Mike Holmgren for 2 years, and then back with John Gruden in Tampa Bay for 2 years, and here I am today. It was a long journey.
It was a long journey. As a kid, though, why did you focus on wanting to coach as opposed to being a player? Why did you flip sides?
Well, I realized my potential. Everybody, and it's one of the things that helped me in coaching, especially in college, especially in the high school level. Everybody rises to their level of competency, and I was very fortunate. Growing up, I loved Syracuse University. Followed, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, Larry Zonka, all those guys, and I was going to go to Syracuse and play football, but I kind of realized the light went on, and that wasn't for me. And I ended up going, obviously, to a Division III school where I was fortunate enough to play and become a small college All-American my senior year. So everybody rises to their level of competency. And when that was over, I was done. I knew I wasn't going to the NFL. I dabbled with semi-pro football for about a day or two, and then I decided enough is enough. Let me switch sides and go to the coaching profession, and that's how I did it.
You weren't going to get beat on as badly, right?
Nope.
That's good. What was out of the high school and the coaching area, kind of high school and college, what was like one of your just moments that you have not ever forgotten? One of the most important moments for you?
Oh, gosh. In high school, I two things really stick out for me. Our success at Henninger High School, the 9 years I was on the varsity, we were good. I mean, we clashed with the old RFA teams that were really good, the old CBA teams that were really good, Auburn really good, and we won more than our fair share of games. And we were a city school in the city of Syracuse. We were one of 4 high schools, and we produced winning programs. I mean, not 6-5 programs. We were 8-1, 9-1, 9-0. We were good football teams. And then I went to Baldwinsville, and without any disrespect to anyone, they were not very good. In 10 years, they won 14 games.
Oh, wow.
I was there 2 years, and we won 14 games. So we got that program on its feet, and then onward and upward.
Wow. How about, I know you've got tons of stories, and you hate getting into details, but I'd love to hear. I think people love the NFL stories. I mean, because that's a heck of a run, going from high school, playing in high school, and then coaching in the NFL at any level.
Dave, let me tell you something. Coming from Little Falls, New York, 4,000, 5,000 people. Growing up, we probably had about 7,000 or 8,000 people. You're for me and for a lot of us kids back then, you're watching black and white TV. You're watching spaceships go to the moon. You're watching riots on college campuses in California. Coming from Little Falls, New York, the difference between going to the moon and going to California there was no difference.
Right.
When you're from Little Falls, going to Utica, that was for me, that was the big deal with my parents. Going to Utica. Ah, man, I thought that was Manhattan. And but just to come from Little Falls and the other thing is when you're in the process of working at your career, you don't have time to dream or reminisce or pinch yourself. But since I've been retired, people like yourself ask me about this, ask me about that, and I say, "Wow, wow!"
You can't believe it yourself, right?
No, I mean I did that, and the NFL is the icing on the cake, and I've said it to a lot of people a lot of times. Every football coach in this country, if it was possible, should have an opportunity to coach in the NFL because that's the pinnacle of our career,
Right.
And going to 2 Super Bowls was magnificent.
I can't even imagine that.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
And the best part was I got to bring my family and my mom and dad before they passed away. And that was, that was obviously a treat for them, but it was more a treat for me.
Right. So give me some of the highlight moments. Go through
Well,
your
when I was a
highlight
high school
reel.
coach at Henninger, I was the baseball coach and the football coach, assistant football coach, and we won the Section 3 baseball title in 1980 for Henninger High School, which has never been done prior to that and has never been done since that.
Wow.
So we have the only sectional baseball championship, Class AA, the big schools, in the history of Henninger High School. That was a highlight. And of course, the football seasons, like I already alluded to, we were successful, playing with and beating large schools like Rome Free, Watertown, Liverpool, CBA. We played them and we beat them. So it was good. And then in college, I went to 11 bowl games in my 18-year college career, and I have a 9-1-1 record. Wow. 9 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie before they eliminated ties. That's a pretty good record right there,
Yeah.
And then you go to the NFL, and I've been in 15. I coached in 15 playoff games. Been to 2 AFC championship games, 1 NFC championship game. Coached in 2 Super Bowls. Coached in the Pro Bowl. Coached in the Senior Bowl with college All-Stars. So there's nothing left.
Wow.
To be honest with you, there's nothing left.
I was going to ask you, is there anything after that?
No.
That you missed?
And that's what, Dave, that's what the magnitude of the thrill, I guess. There's nothing left. People say, well, the only disappointment I've ever had in my coaching career was not winning a Super Bowl. And people are always very gracious and they say, but you went to 2 of them. Yes, I did, but I didn't win any of them.
Right.
Right. But I appreciate what they say. But, in all those years of coaching, the only disappointment I can honestly say is I didn't coach on a winning Super Bowl team. Yeah, Other than that, I've done it all.
You're missing a ring.
Well, I got rings, but not the big ones.
Not the big ones. Yeah, I mean, so some of the behind-the-scenes stuff during a Super Bowl game, what are the things that we don't see while we're watching TV that...
Well,
yeah.
You don't see the nervousness. The preparation is intense. The week before the Super Bowl, the practices, the meetings, everything is intense. You don't have to sit there and say, hey, sit up. Hey, stop talking. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. Everybody is focused right down for the task at hand. And then the game comes. The first time I went to the Super Bowl, it was in San Diego. And I remember they were singing the national anthem, and the aircraft flew over, shook the stadium. And my good friend Garrett Guimont, the strength coach, turned to me and he pinched me. He says, pinch me. And I pinched him. I said, what's that all about? He goes, I can't believe I'm here.
Wow.
And that's about what that kind of sums up being on the sidelines coaching a Super Bowl.
And is that just the coaching staff? Is that laser focused, or do you think the players are all at that level as well?
The players are they're even more focused. Right. Oh yeah. That's the epitome of coaching. Going up through the ranks, high school and college. Kids get sick, kids skip school, kids miss classes, kids miss meetings, kids don't play good in the game, kids want to go home. College kids, it's too cold, it's too hot. I'm on suspension, my academics are bad. In the NFL, all that goes by the wayside. You're focused on one thing, football. Wow. Playing it for the players, coaching it for the coaches.
Anything funny happened during those games where you're walking off shaking your head going, what the hell just happened?
Well, the first Super Bowl, what you got to understand, halftime in the Super Bowl is 35 minutes long, which is unheard of. And you're in the locker room, and a normal NFL halftime is 12 minutes. So you've tripled the time in the locker room.
Oh, wow.
And after about 20 minutes, you're looking around and people are saying, let's go. But you can't. Just the magnitude of the game itself. It's become I don't know. I guess it's become a national holiday. It should be the premier event in our country, premier sporting event.
Right, but nothing funny. And nothing like,
Funny?
yeah, I'm thinking, were there any humorous moments?
No.
No.
No. I imagine if we won, if I had the privilege of winning one of those games, the fun would come afterwards.
Okay, all right.
But now during the game, it's all business. It's the week is business. It's all business. You're focused. You have one goal in mind, and that's to win the game. No, if you're looking for fun, don't be in a Super Bowl.
How about, what's one of the things you miss the most? You're retired now. You're sitting at home in Florida.
Well, the biggest thing I miss the most, and it's different today than it was when I was coaching, I miss the camaraderie amongst the coaches, okay? And I miss the camaraderie between the coaches and the players. And, you watch all these sports shows and they kind of accentuate the negatives. Okay, this bad apple on this team. Well, okay, not every team, most teams have a bad apple.
Right.
But that's one guy. If there's 85 guys on the college football team, if there's 53 guys on a pro team, if there's 50, 60 guys on a high school team, you're allowed one bad guy. You know what I mean? And the problem with the media is, like politics or anything else, they accentuate the negative.
Right.
And that's not fair. That's not fair because these guys, no matter what level, you have a lot of respect for the effort they put in to the game itself. It's not easy, and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Now, today, one of the owners a few years ago said that the inmates are running the asylum. Well, the players didn't particularly like that saying, but if you look at what's happening, not so much in football, because football is very well regulated. But if you look at basketball, baseball, the player, if he doesn't want to play for a team, he says, I'm going to go. I don't want to play here anymore.
Right.
And that didn't happen, when I was coaching in the early 2000s, 2000 to 2010, that didn't happen. Players didn't do that. All of a sudden now, it's accepted, which I think is a sham. But fortunately, I wasn't involved with that.
But is that creeping into the NFL?
Yep,
Yep.
it is. But the good thing, the difference between the NFL and every other sport is the physicality of it. So you could be, I'll use this term. You could be a difficult player, okay? But in the NFL, you better be careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine.
Because like they say, paybacks are a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Basketball, you might get a hard foul. Baseball, like the other night, they might throw a pitch and hit a batter. Hockey, they might push you into the boards. But in football, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You got to be careful whose line you cross, what you say, what you do. And the NFL is the number one corporation in the world. There is no Coca-Cola, Budweiser, car dealers, Tesla. They pale in comparison to what the NFL, how they run their corporation.
So it's a machine.
It's a machine. It's a machine. And everybody has a cog in the machine, okay? Everybody kind of knows their place in the machine. And, yeah, there's guys that are going to test the waters. They're going to test the waters. But the difference is the only ones that could possibly test the waters have to be magnanimous players. The one that comes to mind right now is Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he wanted out of Green Bay, and the Jets picked him up. I mean, forget about getting injured.
Right.
But he opted out. Very few players do you read about in the NFL, hey, I don't like it here. Well, too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad. You better. And a good example, yesterday watching the Colts, their running back, Jonathan Taylor, who's a phenomenal player, okay? And he decided he wanted X amount of dollars this year. Well, the Colts, for some reason, didn't want to pay him that. Whether they didn't have the money or they just didn't want to pay him that. So he sat out the first 4 games. Finally, him and his agent sat down and said, you know what? we better figure something out here. We're leaving a lot of money on the table. So he comes back a couple weeks ago, works out, and he was eligible to play yesterday. And I don't know if you saw the game. He was like a spring chicken out there.
Wow.
He was awesome.
Because
awesome.
he probably kept working out and kept in shape, but he was not getting hammered.
Absolutely.
I watched the Kansas City game yesterday, so.
Yep, I watched that game too, and I watch them all, and I enjoy watching the pros a lot better than college because I think there's too many coaching mistakes in college. There's too many players' mistakes in college.
But the kids are still learning, right? I mean, it's okay for them to make the mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have heard me screaming Saturday watching the Longhorns.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have been a blowout against the Cougars, and
no doubt
they won by a touchdown.
And that's where, people say, well, where does coaching come in? Coaching comes in use Sarkisian for an example. Okay, beat Oklahoma. Your next game is against Houston. Houston's going to score a lot of points. Okay, but you've got a great defense. So you have to prepare a game plan to limit them to, let's say, X amount of points. Right. I don't know, 28 points. And you're going to win that game going away. He couldn't stop them.
I know.
He couldn't stop them. Now, to me, that's coaching because the players on Houston are the guys that wanted to go to Texas that Texas didn't take. The guys on Texas didn't want to go to Houston because that was beneath what they felt they were capable of doing. Yet here, this game, it's a 2-point conversion away from being an upset.
Yep.
And coaching is, don't ever underestimate the importance of coaching. And, people say, is it more important in the NFL or college or high school? Coaching, they look at coaches. The players respond to coaches. Trust me on that. Mm. And understand, you know why I say that? Because if you're not helping them, if you're not making them better, if you're not correcting mistakes, they'll throw you under the bus in a heartbeat.
No. I can believe that.
Yeah. However, if you can, on the sidelines and you make adjustment, a player comes to you and says, "Hey, Bob, we didn't work against that this week." I said, "I know. I got it drawn up here. I'm figuring it out. Here's what we're going to do." They like that. You look at the Alabama-Tennessee game the other day. At halftime, Tennessee was just ripping Alabama. And, my wife goes, "What's wrong with Alabama?" I go, "Let's wait till after the game." Because I work for Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And I know what halftime adjustments are all about. Nick Saban they shut him out in the second half. Alabama shut out Tennessee in the second half.
When he got in the locker room at halftime, is he a firebrand in there just tearing ass, or is he thinking it through and coming up with, here's what we're going to change?
That's a good question, because most people would say he's belligerent.
Right.
I read on the Alabama, the guys that report for Alabama, they said, everybody has spies everywhere. They said his halftime demeanor was awesome. Said he just got them refocused. The coaches and him got together and they put together the corrections. They relayed them to the players. And then he said, "Look, it's up to you guys. You have to decide if you want to continue to play like that or if you want to execute this game plan." And that was it, Wow. And now, has he on occasion blown up? Absolutely.
Everybody has. Every coach has.
But he's not a lot of these coaches, halftime adjustments are critical. I don't know what Josh Heupel, the Tennessee coach, did at halftime. They must have played around a pitch or something with the coaches because they were awful in the second half.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything.
Well, they thought they could coast.
Well, you play Alabama.
You don't coast.
There's no coasting.
What do you think about the Longhorns switching conferences?
Well, I think what's happening in college football is it's sad. Yeah. It's really sad. What they want, it's being dictated by ESPN, Fox. They're going to now market out games. Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Whatever the hell the other stuff is that you got to pay for. It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's all about money. And there's really only, trust me on this, Dave, because I'll ask anybody this question. there's really only 25 to 30 teams that are what you would call above level teams.
Money
all
draws.
The rest of the teams,
money draws,
right? In a hat, they're all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference between Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Indiana, New Mexico, Cal Berkeley, and Oregon State? What's the difference between those teams?
I don't watch them.
There's nothing. Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. That's good football. There's some good football team. There's some good football players. There's some good football playing. But the media don't give a damn.
Yeah,
they don't care about one of the best games that the other night, Miami and Clemson. Okay, but that was opposite whatever they get. Duke, Florida State. Well, the media puts. They put the Miami Clemson game on the ACC network, which for all practical purposes is a regional network.
Right.
Okay. And they put Florida State Duke, okay, on the big screen. I think it was ABC. Why? Because Florida State is ranked 4th, and they're in that top 4 playoff tier, so the media is pushing them.
Right.
It's all about the monies, you know?
Do you know where that was most apparent? Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at how they got pushed to.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing you need to watch.
Yep. I worked for a guy named Herm Edwards at the Jets. And his classic famous line is they were interviewing him about something and, some cockamamie reporter. And he looks at the guy and he says, "That's why we play the games." Very simple. You play the games. Okay. And it's that's why you play the games.
Yeah.
You're going to have a winner. You're going to have a loser.
Yeah.
If it's up to ESPN, scrap the season. Let's put Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama in the Final Four, and we don't need a season.
But they need that ad revenue. Come on, that's why they play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other than that, but I mean, they've already predetermined what they feel is their like right now. I mean, you look at it right now. Michigan is the best team in the country, in my estimation. They're the best team in the country, and so now all these people are coming. The SEC does not like Jim Harbaugh. Mm. The reporters don't like him. The commissioner don't like him. The coaches don't like him. But all he does is win, And I worked with Jim at Oakland. He's arrogant. He is an arrogant man, but he's a good football coach.
And he wins.
As you can see with Michigan.
Yep.
He's a good coach.
And that's all you need, right?
That's one of the major things you need.
So what on the lightest note ever to end, what about the Taylor Swift phenomenon?
Well,
is that distracting from football or
no,
what?
Let me go back to my statement about the NFL. It is the greatest corporation in the world. They'll take this thing and they will magnify it to the umpteenth. The next thing they're going to do is you watch and see. There'll be Taylor Swift NFL Kansas City Chief apparel coming out.
Oh my God!
They will magnify. Do you know why they play overseas? Do you know why the NFL plays in England?
Well, I thought it was expanding their market.
Merchandise.
Okay.
Merchandise. They sell more merchandise in England than anywhere in this country.
Really?
Any individual state. As a whole, the country of the United States sells more.
Right.
United Kingdom, now they're branching out into Germany.
I saw
that.
Yeah.
You watch that game on TV, they're all going to have whoever's playing. I think the Dolphins are playing somebody. They'll all have those shirts. Well, where'd they get them? They bought them.
Oh, jeez.
So the Taylor Swift thing, it's just another marketing tool. It fell into their lap.
Wow.
And they're making the most.
And they're going to work
it. The NFL makes money. They would make money on a funeral. I'm telling you.
I was trying to count the number of times they cut away to her.
Well, what's going to be interesting is next year after the season, when the season's over, she'll be bringing him out on stage. Her shows, she's making so much money, it's absurd. Yeah. And now he's jumping on that band. I mean, it's a great story. It's a great story.
No, it's fine.
It'll run its course.
We can have a little halftime engagement ceremony or something like that, where he gets on the knee during the half.
That's going to happen. That's where the NFL draws the line, I think.
Yeah. Our players, they can have girlfriends, but they can't get married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, that's been great. Bob, I really appreciate your time, and I love the fact that you're getting this recognition. I know you don't want it, but I think it's an honor for someone from Little Falls to go this far.
I'm just, like I said, I'll repeat, I'm very humbled and honored to get this award. You know, I'm in my college Hall of Fame at Brockport. That happened in 2011 or 12. I forget when, 12. And this is the next step honor. So it's great.
Awesome.
I'm pleased that I'm from Little Falls, and I know a lot of people down there kind of, live their coaching football lives through my exploits, and that makes you feel good.
I know I am, as many times as I've talked to you about it.
Good.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Take care. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome.